you're a Yankee fan right now, I listen to Boomer Esiason, I listen to Greg Giannotti, and how confident they were about the Yankees possibly sweeping this Cleveland Guardian team after the game number 1 win, 4-1. The Yankees missing a whole week worth of baseball. This lineup doesn't have what we believe that this lineup had going into the playoffs. Aaron Judge on Friday afternoon didn't strike out once or twice or 3 times, but 4 times and got booed off his own field. This is the home run champion. This is a guy 5 points away from winning a Triple Crown this year. Heart and soul of this Yankee team when they were in a drought in August. But this lineup has been absolutely putrid. Game number 1, Rizzo hit that home run. Bader hit that home run to tie the game after Quan hit his first home run of the series. Rizzo hit that 3-run home run that helped the Yankees pull away in game number 1. If you look at both of these games, the Yankees are not averaging more than 5 hits a game. A lineup that has guys like Josh Donaldson, who's making $25 million a year. Giancarlo Stanton making $30 million a year. Half of these players have been 1 or 2-time All-Stars, and they're averaging 5 hits a game against a Cleveland Guardian team. Yes, has very good pitching, has a very good bullpen. They have the best closer in baseball in the second half of the season, even better than Diaz. To tell me right now that the Yankees are not up in this series 2-0 just tells me one thing. They better find a way to win this game tonight against Cleveland, because if they don't, game number 4 on Sunday, Gerrit Cole will be on the mound. And does any Yankee fan believe in Gerrit Cole to win an important game in game number 4?
It's going to be tough because Tristan McKenzie's also been one of the best starting pitchers in the second half of the season. He goes in game 3. Game 4, Savale or Plesac, who haven't been as good this year, but good in the past. And then they might stretch it out with that bullpen. So the Yankees are going to have to find something against the starting pitching to rattle McKenzie. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough for them. And if the Yankees can't find that lineup depth that they had during the season, it's going to be very hard to do that. Stanton has hit, but Judge hasn't. Rizzo's hit, but Donaldson hasn't. They have to find some kind of pattern of consistency. Otherwise, you're just going to have a case where Stanton and Rizzo, the 2 guys that are hitting, are going to get pitched around. Terry Francona is a great manager, and they have a great pitching staff that's very smart. As far as their pitching, Gerrit Cole pitched well in game 1. Will he do it again? Gerrit Cole had the most home runs given up this season.
Most strikeouts, but also most home runs.
Yeah, and a lot of his home runs in the second half of the season have come late in the game. I compare it to playoff Clayton Kershaw. A lot of them are in the 6th and 7th innings. We see managers now try to pull them right away, but are you going to do that to a guy like Gerrit Cole, who we know can stretch the length?
If you're a Yankee fan right now, you're not very excited about this bullpen. Even if the Yankees get out of this series, they're overly matched. If they have to play Houston or even Seattle, both teams have better bullpens than the Yankees.
Yep.
Tejon, after seeing the Yankees bring him in the 10th inning and just absolutely choke in the 10th inning, just tells me one thing about this team. There is no depth in this bullpen. Are you going to trust Jonathan Loaisiga to pitch 2 innings? They're trying to figure out if they have to go to extra innings. They bring in Tejon. What's next? Herman? There is nobody in that bullpen I trust. There's no Chapman. There's no Britton anymore. There's no King for the rest of the season. When they lost Michael King, everything started to collapse right in front of their eyes. This team has no depth in the bullpen, which was one of their strengths going into the season. In the first half of the season, they were the number 1 bullpen in all of baseball. Their rotation going into the second half was the number 1 ERA and number 2 whip in all of baseball. It fell in the second half of the season. And I'm not going to blame Nestor Cortez. Did he have one of his best games in game number 2? No. But he still kept them down to only 2 runs.
Had a very impressive play at the end of that 4th inning, so I'll field it. He was falling backwards and then threw the guy out.
He didn't have one of those game-breaking games, but he kept the Yankees in it. The Yankees need to score runs. And you go up and down this lineup. Connor Falefa, he had a hit in the 6th inning. Trevino, they took him out of the game because he hasn't been hitting. He's been one of the more impressive pickups by Brian Cashman. Fabulous. He was an all-star. I don't know what happened to him. Are they going to start Aaron Hicks in game number 4 if they're not going to get enough out of the outfield? I don't trust Aaron Hicks. He barely hit in the first half of the season. He started hitting in the second half. Oswaldo Cabrera, he's a young player. He looked really good in the second half of the season. He has made a tremendous amount of mistakes in the game. It's 3-2 in the 8th inning, and you have men on 1st and 2nd with 1 out. Why are you swinging when you know the guy's going to throw you a fastball outside of the box? Why would you swing at that? You would have had bases loaded with one man out. You give the Yankees a better chance to get that run in, take that tie to 3-2, and then the Yankees play it completely different. The Yankees need a lead going into the 6th and 7th inning. That's the only way they're going to beat Cleveland. Because if Cleveland brings their bullpen in and they have the lead, it's lights out, Bertha. I would be worried if the Yankees do not win game number 3 going into game 4 with Gerrit Cole on the mound. I would be absolutely scared. There's too much depth when it comes to the rotation in the bullpen for Cleveland, for the Yankees to just go into Cleveland like they have 1-1 and expect to win this series. I'm really worried. And I was worried when the Yankees gave up that hit to Rosario in the 5th inning yesterday, which really cost them the chance to win that game. And Rosario, by the way, there are a lot of names in that lineup from that New York Mets team.
Oh, and there's a lot of relievers, too, between the remaining teams in the American League.
Honestly, who won that trade? Lindor was a pretty good player this year. Cleveland got 2 starters in the middle of that lineup. 2 starters that could play defense in multiple positions, and one of them was an all-star this year. I know Lindor's a good player. He's a superstar player, but you just gave away 2 players that are under contract, on their rookie contract, played a big part of why Cleveland is here today going against the Yankees in a playoff game?
The answer to that question is probably too early to tell right now because Jimenez did play well this year. He was bad last year. And then Rosario, outside of the second half last year when they were semi-contending and he fell off
They're figuring things out.
Rosario's played well. So will Cleveland keep him long-term is to be determined because their ownership's very cheap. Lindor,
they still have like 3 or 4 years left.
Yeah, how will his consistency be? Too early to tell who ended up winning the trade. Pretty even right now.
It's even. What we have seen the growth of both these players, and they're fairly very young. I listened to what Josh said last week, and I know Josh is upset. You won 101 games this year. Last year, 77. So you won almost 25 more games than you did last year. You saw growth in this team this year. Buck Showalter was a good manager for the Mets this year. Epler is rebuilding this team from top to bottom. You're probably going to bring in a new president very, very soon. That's going to help Epler out. Maybe Brian Cashman. Doubt it, but maybe it is him. David Stearns. There's another name that we've been hearing from the Mets. If you're a Met fan, you have Pete Alonso to put a smile on your face. Lindor's going to win a gold glove this year. Brandon Nimmo could possibly win a gold glove this year. You're going to have to re-sign him. There are pieces. There are things to be happy about. Diaz was one of the top 2 relief pitchers in baseball. You're going to have to re-sign him. I believe they will. So there are bright things. And then here's the bad. They got eliminated because they couldn't win the division. Because they choked the last 3 weeks of the season when their schedule was easier than any team in the National League. People want to throw Buck Showalter under the bus and Epler, and that's why Steve Cohen came out after the season and said they're safe. How could you throw a manager and a GM out on the street for the season that the Mets had? This offseason is going to be a very important offseason. It's not about going after free agents. It's about signing your own free agents. The Jacob deGroms of the world, the Brandon Nimmos. Make sure you bring back the heart of this team. If you're a Met fan, I know you want Soto, you want Correa. If Carlos Correa is available and you can get him for nothing, I would bring him on this team. That's the power bat. You put him in the middle of the lineup with Pete Alonso. You're adding 30 more home runs. You're adding a guy that hits about 290. He doesn't stay healthy, but he's going to give you the offense that you need, and he's a great playoff hitter and a gold glove positional player. But bring back your old players. Bring back your own players. It was a great season for the Mets. Did they come up short? Yes. Max Scherzer wasn't 100% healthy. Jacob deGrom wasn't 100% healthy. They were tired. By the way, this bullpen is horrible. Besides Diaz, they need to find some middle relief pitchers. Stop overpaying guys like May because you think that they're going to play better for you than the other teams that they played for the last 2 years. It never works.
And for the love of God, get some lefties. They have 2 on the entire team. That did not bode well when you're facing a Padres team that knows how to hit righties very well. And it wasn't even the stars. It was the bottom of the lineup that knew how to hit the righties well. The Mets did pretty good on Soto and Machado. Not so well on Josh Bell, lefty. Trent Grisham, left. Maybe we should have gotten some lefties to try to knock those guys down and be able to reverse those splits. Nah, Billy Epler, they stay pat at the trade deadline. Let's get Darren Ruff to save the day, who barely did anything.
As far as the playoffs are concerned, oh man, this is fun. The MLB playoffs right now is nothing but exciting. Besides the Houston Astros series, which seems like the Astros are pulling away, and they got lucky. In the 9th inning, when they were down by 2 runs, I thought Seattle was going to completely shut them down. And Seattle had the lead again in game number 2. going into the 7th inning and gave up another home run. Seattle had a chance to be up 2-0 instead of being down 2-0. Houston looks like they're walking away in this series. Besides that series, you have the Yankees going into the game tied 1-1 with the Cleveland Guardians. The Philadelphia Phillies up 2-1 against everybody's champion pick to come out of the National League this year, the World Series champion, Atlanta Braves. And another big surprise in the National League, the San Diego Padres, after last night's win, going up against the Dodgers, are up 2-1 in that series, going into Game 4.
We both noted the worries that we had with the Dodgers, and the Padres are taking it to them right now.
Who would have thought that the Philadelphia Phillies and the Padres could be in the National League Championship? If the Yankees could get out of this series against the Guardians and play Houston, that's their World Series. Because if the Yankees could get out of that Astro series, they are absolutely heavy favorites against the Phillies and even the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, that's the mental block they got to overcome because the Astros have just been the thorn of their side forever, too. If the Yankees can finally do it against the Astros, yeah, that's a big monkey off.
They don't have to play the Dodgers, and they don't have to play the Braves. Two really talented teams with great bullpens, great rotations, and great lineups. Now, I'm not saying the Philadelphia Phillies are bad because they wouldn't be there where they are if they weren't good.
Their bullpen's due for one random crumble.
Yeah, but their bullpen is horrible. Their starting rotation has one good pitcher. And the Padres, they have a good rotation and a good bullpen. They're on and off. And their lineup is not that good besides two players. If the Yankees could get out of this Guardians series and knock off Houston, which I believe is the World Series, if the Dodgers get eliminated and the Atlanta Braves get eliminated, the Yankees will have a chance to win a World Series, to win number 28, which they've been trying to do for the last 13 years, trying to swim to shore, and they just can't get to the shore. It just seems like they get pulled out by the waves all the way out in the middle of the ocean.
4 LCS losses, yeah.
It's been
Texas, Detroit, and then twice to the Astros.
It's been horrible. If you're a Yankee fan, you just hope that they can get out of this Cleveland Guardians series on top and collective and not tired so they can get ready for the Astros. Because even though Seattle is going to fight this all the way to the end, I think the Astros win that series. It's destined, Yankees and Astros in the American League Championship.